Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Wednesday, May 20th, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. Kansas City media had access to Chiefs coordinators Eric Bieniemy, Steve Spagnolo, and Dave Toub this week, and you're going to hear from all three of them. I believe these are the first public comments by the coordinator since Super Bowl week. You'll get their impressions about newcomers through the draft and free agency and how those guys might fit in, plus how they're handling virtual coaching. So let's get started with Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy.
I just want to let everybody know it's good seeing you guys. Welcome back. Hopefully all your families are remaining safe and healthy throughout this entire process. With us, we're grinding and chopping away. We're just taking advantage and making the most of all the opportunities that we have with this new technology. I will say this, I got one thing I do have to admit, and hopefully you guys will enjoy this when I say this. I have never checked so many work emails ever in my life, but I have. But we're taking advantage of all the installs that we're getting in and, interacting with the guys. The guys have been focused. They've been right on point. And, it's just been exciting just to get this thing started. So with that saying, fellas, ladies, hey, let's hit the ground running. Let's roll.
All right, we'll start with Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, how are you, man?
Good. How you doing?
I'm well, thanks. I'm sure this was going to come up, but I just wanted to go ahead and ask it up front. The NFL is tweaking the Rooney rule, and I'm curious on your reaction to how the league is addressing minority hires. How much do you agree with the process that they're putting in place now, and then just your overall reaction to it?
Well, my overall reaction is going to remain the same. I am blessed and fortunate to be placed in this opportunity and been given the situation, okay? One thing, as a coach, you always want to be judged based upon your own merit. So at the end of the day, the best coach is going to be hired. So that's what I do. I coach football, but when it's all said and done with, I can't control all the controllables. The only thing that I can control is where we're at right now and what we're doing. And that's making sure that we are mentally prepared for whenever we have that opportunity to get back on the field together.
Let's go to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about Clyde and first of all, how you see the backfield situation shaking out. I know it's early, but just wondering what you guys sort of envision as far as how you're going to split the workload back there. And also, when you don't have the rookie mini camps, I mean, what is the legitimate difficulty in a rookie like that who maybe you're going to feature prominently, not knowing maybe some things that you'd be hands-on with them normally at this time of year?
Well, one thing is Veach and his entire staff did a great job of evaluating the kid. Collectively, as a coaching staff, we felt we did a great job of evaluating the talent. But on top of that, and I think this is more important than anything, we know the person. And we know one thing that kid is going to do. He's going to come in and work his tail off. Now, he's just going to be a piece of the puzzle. You got Damian Williams, who did a hell of a job for us last year. He's also going to have an opportunity to play with one of his former teammates. And then we have Darwin. And then we got the young kid out of that played with the Oakland Raiders and DeAndre Washington. So we have a unique situation where he can come in and have an opportunity to learn from a collective group. But also, we want to make sure we're utilizing him the right way and making sure that he's mentally prepared to go when it's time to go.
Okay, let's go to Sarin Petro. Go ahead, Sarin.
Coach, I know you talked about the caliber of person on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. One of the biggest things transition-wise for a college back is to block, to figure out the blocking schemes, who he's supposed to block, how to do it. Seemed like it was kind of mixed messages from a lot of people. Some people said he really was a good blocker. Other people said that was his big weakness. What do you think of his blocking skills as he comes into the league?
Well, we've had this discussion with him, and you know what? Sometimes you see college kids put some good stuff on tape. Sometimes you see them put some poor stuff on tape. The thing that we do know is that he does have the willingness to block, and he understands that's a huge asset that's going to help him moving forward to getting him on the field and contributing to what we do on our side of the ball. But one thing I will say, he does have the attitude, mindset to get it done. So I'm not concerned with that. Coach Dillon's going to do a great job of making sure that he's physically prepared to get that done.
Okay, let's go to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Eric, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Adam?
Good, thanks. Appreciate it. Was wondering, you talked about the depth you guys have at running back, for sure, but is there something that Clyde brings to that room that maybe you guys didn't have last season?
Hey, I think the kid is just a special kid. You've seen some of the things that he's done on tape as far as running the ball, having the ability to get outside in the open field and make some plays as a receiver. You can create matchups with him. He's one of those ideal kids that fit in what we do. So having him a part of the puzzle, I mean, think about it. He gets to go out there and play with a Pat Mahomes, a Travis Kelce. He gets an opportunity to learn from a Damian Williams. He gets an opportunity to learn from a DeAndre Washington. He gets an opportunity to play with Sammy Watkins and all those guys. So I think with his talent and also his attitude and his determined mindset and the professionalism that he brings to the organization, I think that's going to help him to be even better. So I think the kid got some special traits, but I also believe that our players are going to help him to grow to become even more of a special contributor when it's all said and done with.
Okay, let's go to James Palmer. Go ahead, James.
Eric, I hope you're well. I know you commented a little bit with Herbie about the best coach gets the gig, but I kind of want to follow up where opportunity still plays a part as well. So what's your thought on kind of the fellowship being expanded? That's kind of how Byron Leftwich got his name in by working with Bruce and then working the way up and doing with coordinators. So just getting the opportunity at a lower level seems to be expanded. Kind of want your comment on that.
Well, I think there are plenty of candidates that are more than qualified. I think one thing that popped up was, some coaches now, assistant coaches, are going to have an opportunity to interview. I think that's huge. I think that's huge across the board, regardless of skin color. It doesn't make a difference, Now you get an opportunity to interview the best football coach for that particular position. I think one thing is that with all this discussion being brought to the table, it just opened up different doors for many different people. And like I said, when it's all said and done with, my job is to make sure I'm focused on what we're doing. But yes, I am happy that was passed so those guys can have an opportunity. But understanding that, hell, I got a job to do. We'll focus on what we need to get better at this particular time and what's going to make us the best team when we have an opportunity to hit the ground running.
Let's go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Eric. Thanks for doing this.
Can I say this real quick? Do you guys feel like the Brady Bunch? I'm sitting here trying to find you guys.
I'm right here. I hope you're doing well. I hope you can find me. Eric, I know this may sound silly to some degree, but looking back at last year, how many times have you realized or been told from players, fans, that you guys, one, never run another quarterback sneak once Patrick got hurt and you guys were still able to win the Super Bowl? And what about the idea of not, using a quarterback sneak in short yardage situations? You guys were able to still be really successful in the postseason using a variety of players. Can you just speak to the idea of maybe never having to run another quarterback sneak in the future, and just the idea of how the offense has advanced so much that you guys can still be at an advantage despite using one of the more conventional short yardage plays?
One thing, we have a very, very creative coaching staff. And I've always said this. I'm blessed and fortunate to have an opportunity to work with Coach Reed. And one thing that we have, our motto is to remain flexible in anything and everything that we do. So we're going to try and create the best situation for us regardless of what's taking place or what has happened. And so we just want to make sure that we're utilizing all of our personnel and giving us the best opportunity to go out there and be successful. Yeah, obviously, when you think of the quarterback sneak, obviously everybody remembers what took place in Denver. But one thing I do remember is having an opportunity to run a few short yardage plays in the Super Bowl where my man Pat dropped that shoulder. And I don't know if he necessarily laid the wood, but he laid some wood or took some wood, and he found a way to get it done. But he's a competitive kid. He's going to do whatever he can. And the beauty of our guys is that, hey, they know, regardless of situation, whoever is called upon, all right, to perform in whatever moment we're putting them in, their job is to be accountable and find a way to get the job done.
All right, guys, we're getting short on time, so we probably have time for a few more. Let's go BJ, Pete, and then Matt, Derrick. Go ahead, Pete. Or I'm sorry, go ahead, BJ.
Coach, I know that everybody's asking you about your time and your role as offensive coordinator with the Chiefs. I want to ask about your role as running back at the University of Colorado and the national championship team being the 30-year anniversary. How much – I know that, every time there's an anniversary like this, it has to give you some special memories, but what have you got going on? Is there anything planned for that? And how fondly do you still think back on those memories, obviously coming off a Super Bowl and reaching the highest level of this level of football?
I tell you what, it's kind of ironic that question has come up because this past weekend or last Friday, a bunch of us from our national championship team had a Zoom call. So it was one of those calls that, first of all, was a great time. Just reconnecting with a number of guys, also catching up with them. But some of the stories that were told were unreal. And some of the stories you don't want ever, ever, ever to get out there. But it was a great time. Guys had a great time just rehashing all the different things that took place throughout the course of that year. But it's always a special moment when you can rehash and think about the past because if it wasn't for the past, it wouldn't help shape the future. But I will say this, and I got to let you guys in on this part of the story. So I've been finding myself, which has been great. I walk probably about 5.5 to 6 miles at least 5 days a week. And so I'm walking through our neighborhood. I've discovered more of our neighborhood than any time in my life since I've been here in Olathe, Kansas. But I'm walking through my neighborhood, and this guy, he's cutting his grass, okay? And he stops his lawnmower. He comes running out. And I'm like, man, am I going to have to fight this man? So, but come to find out, he gives the exact date, and it's a shame. I can't recall the date. But he gives me the exact date, the exact time of the fifth down deal against Missouri. I'm like, man, are you guys ever going to allow us to live this down? I mean, but it was hilarious. It was funny, but I will say this, it's good to be remembered for a lot of good things, but also too, I hate the fact that in this state where we are and working with the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm pretty much reminded about the fifth down more than anything than the national championships.
All right, let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Eric. Thank you for taking some time with us. Hope you're all right. I was curious about Sammy Watkins. You'd mentioned him and everything that sort of emerged a week ago about maybe some mixed feelings about his usage and things like last year. I was wondering your reaction to some of that stuff that came out and then how you have conversations with the player to sort of coach that up and deal with it.
Well, one of the first things I enjoyed the article. And one thing you guys got to understand is players go through a lot of different highs and lows. There's a lot of pressure that players receive when playing this game outside of what we do. And so I'm not going to divulge on any of our conversations, but I love Sammy. I love the way he comes to work every single day. I am very blessed and fortunate that we're bringing him back. He's a big, huge part of what we do. And I'm actually proud that he allowed people to get to know him because he's a beautiful kid. He's a hardworking kid. And the only thing that he wants to do, he wants to be great. And I think more than anything, I think if everybody can take that and just feel just his urgency to want to express how hard it is to achieve those goals, just listen to him. He's allowing everybody into who he is, but he just wants people to know that he wants to be the player that he was expected to be. And we love him because of that.
All right, Coach, we've got two more hands that are up here. That one of them that we got to get in here, but let's start with Matt, Derrick, then we'll close it out with Adam. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to let you know I almost wore my fifth down T-shirt today just for you and
I
Coach
see you
Joe.
got your misery gear on.
It's got zeros on the clock and 31:27. But hey, I wanted to ask about the offensive line because you're bringing back 4 of your 5 starters from the Super Bowl. Left guard really the only position that's up there. You got Andrew coming back, but you've added Mike Remmers and Brett Veach has mentioned Lucas Niang might be in the mix. How open is that competition to you, and what do you think of the new guys that you're bringing in there on the line?
We're very fired up about the guys that we're bringing back. We're fired up about the new additions that we have. We just want to make sure that we're sound at every position. And we're going to create competition. And when it's all said and done with Coach Het, myself, Coach Reed, we're going to make sure that we're putting the best 5 out there that gives us the best chance. And you know, in this in this industry, you can't have enough good O-linemen. And so we just want to make sure that we're stockpiling on depth, but also creating a competitive atmosphere so we can get the best 5 on the field at any given time.
Okay, Adam, go ahead and close us out.
Hey, no fifth down questions here, at least not today. I wanted to ask you about what you knew or what you know about your 2 young development quarterbacks since you've had them in. And also, I'd like to hear in your words, what's in it for those guys to come here to this team when the starting quarterback job is locked up for a long time?
Well, one thing I will say, Jordan and Shea they've been very, very good in the meetings. They've been very, very receptive to the information that we're providing them, but also, too, they've been asking a lot of great questions. Mike Kafka has done a heck of a job, Joe Blameyer. And one thing, when we're sitting in that room, when we're sitting in those meetings, we want all our guys to be interactive. You know, one thing that they'll have an opportunity to gain from being here is, first of all, they get to learn a lot. We have a very, very unique and diverse offense. On top of that, they get to watch how Pat Mahomes works as a professional. And I think more importantly, they get an opportunity to work with a Chad Henne who's been around for a very, very long time and has provided some outstanding leadership qualities within that room. So those are the things that I think those guys gain from being here and a part of our family.
Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening. You just heard from Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. Let's switch to the other side of the ball and hear from defensive coordinator Steve Spagnolo.
Yeah, real quick. I won't be real long. Listen, I hope everybody's safe, healthy. I mean, certainly the world's a different place than when we last had a chance to visit. It seems like forever ago that I've had a chance to address everybody. You know, just like we've talked to our defensive unit a lot about how fortunate we are in this business to have jobs and still be working. And I talked with the guys a little bit about let's not forget that and don't lose sight of the people that are going through a rough time right now. And we think about that often. I know my wife and I do. I'm sure you guys do as well. So, and extended families, and there's just so many tentacles to this whole thing that you don't even realize until you hear somebody's story. But having said that, and with regards to the meetings with the players, I'm getting an education, needless to say, on technology, but it's been great. I think we're going to take a lot from this and be able to use it. I'm talking about me as a person. I was not a FaceTimer on the phone, so we use WebEx meetings and some of the Zoom. So being able to do that with family has been just terrific. Family that's further distances away. So again, I'm happy to get back with the guys. It was great to do the meetings. I try to do a unit meeting every day. It's real quick. Then we break off into our groups. It's what is different from me is I really like being in front of a room and conversing with the players, asking questions. That's a little bit difficult in the WebEx or the Zoom world. So that I do miss, and actually getting outside and teaching the guys. I really do miss that. But hopefully we can keep our fingers crossed. We'll be back at it soon. So with that, I'll just kind of open it up. I went way longer than I wanted to, Sid. Sorry about
that. Let's start with Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm going to make sure I get my volume on here so that – okay, good.
I was just wondering about Willie Gay and what maybe he gives you that you didn't have on the team last year in his position.
Well, it's interesting. Maybe I'm different in some ways with rookies, but I don't know that you know what you have until you get them here. Now look at Brett Veach and his staff did a terrific job identifying him. We're glad we have him. We're excited for what we think he can do. But until we get him out there, we won't really know. I mean, things jump off the chart with regards to speed. And he's a violent hitter, which we love. Hopefully all those things will transfer to this league.
Let's go to Danny Welniak. Go ahead, Danny.
Hey, Coach. Praying that you and your family are all doing well. Thank you so much for doing this. My question for you is, with the NFL allowing some training facilities to open, how much hope does that offer you guys that you might have a normal or regular kind of training camp and even preseason?
Yeah. Listen, we're staying hopeful that will happen. And I know Coach Reed has talked to you guys already about his plans, and he's got all kinds of he's an organized man, so he's got us organized for whatever happens. And, for right now, until they tell us differently, we're very hopeful we get to training camp. I think I've told you this before. Training camp is one of my all-time favorite things to do in this business because you're up there, you're all together, you're in a dorm. I still like that. And it's all football, being around the guys. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and pray that we can have a normal training camp.
Let's go to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Coach. I hope everything's well.
Thanks, Sam.
We talked to Hitchens last week, and he mentioned that one of the first things you told the defensive group was that you feel like they can be better this year. What sort of specifically stands out to you for why you would say that?
Well, first and foremost, and I think you all realize this, we need to begin the season better, in my opinion. We knew Hitch and I talked about this yesterday because I called him yesterday I hadn't talked to him in a while, but we knew there were going to be bumps in the road early with regards to feeling out coaches and players and what we had, what they could do, and a new system and the whole thing. And we went through some rough patches, but really because of the assistant coaches we have who just kept pounding the details and over and over and over and over, and the guys embracing it and not getting frustrated with all the walkthroughs we had and all the reps that we took. My hope is that we're past that. And it would be really nice if we could come out of the blocks and play good defense at the beginning of the season, not wait. I think we maybe felt like it was 7 or 8 games before we really got in the groove.
Okay, let's go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Steve. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us. To kind of build off the last question from Sam, in terms of installing a defense last year, putting in the terminology, understanding how all the coaches are going to work together, but even before you get to the players, how different from your experience in the past has year 2 been in terms of teaching the guys that have been there, adding some new players, whether it's the draft or free agency? And what did you see in those first, say, 6-7 weeks that that you guys can sort of build upon based on what you guys showed in the playoffs?
Yeah, good point. I'll start with the ending one that you asked there, Nate. More than anything, myself and the coaches learning what our guys could and couldn't do was huge. And so going into this year, and fortunately for us, by great work by Brett Veach and his staff, we have most of the guys back. Now, not all of them. Some guys we're going to miss. But knowing what the abilities of those guys already going into year 2 might keep us from having to experiment, so to speak. And we can keep, we've sat here with the scheme and said, okay, let's keep this because our guys are really good at it. And maybe we get rid of that, add something in. So there is, the hope is that you grow in the system, you can expand a little bit, just like Andy always talks about with his offense, where they keep adding. I know you guys had all kinds of questions for Patrick Mahomes. What can he do in his second year? And you're right where you're going. And I think Andy told you that you keep adding and building what they can absorb, the more they embrace, the better we can be. I feel the same way on defense because I do think in this league nowadays, you got to be multiple in enough regards to keep people off balance, so to speak. So hopefully we can do that.
Let's go to Nick Schaefer. Go ahead, Nick.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned your family, and I'm just wondering if you maybe have a different perspective on this thing. We're in the Midwest, right, and not hit as hard as other areas, especially the Northeast. And with your ties to New York, Do you have a different perspective on this whole thing this whole time, and has it affected you maybe more than others?
Yes and no. I think the whole country's feeling it because, listen, no matter where you are, you probably have a connection to somebody that's in a hot spot, so to speak. But out east, they've been in lockdown. It hasn't really eased up as much, although I think most of the country is starting to do that. I'll be honest with you. I just throw this out, and this may seem small. I really feel for seniors in high school and seniors in college who lost their, and look at it. I'm sure everybody here probably went to college and was tied in somehow. You always look forward to that senior spring and to have fun with your friends. I know that's a small thing, but we have, my wife and I do have parents that are elderly, and some of them are in independent living. And I tell you, what's really hard is to explain to parents or elderly people that you can't come and see them. And sometimes, depending on where they are in their thought process, they may not remember that the next day. And you can only imagine being somebody like that, sitting at home by themselves, no guests, no family coming to see them. So I think it's affecting everywhere. My wife and I think about other people often and hope and pray we can come out of this thing.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for taking some time with us. I was curious about your top two defensive picks in Gay and Snead. And when it comes to Gay, I know you'd mentioned you want to get him in person, but I was wondering if there was a specific backer position in mind for him and why. And then with Snead, how long do you think he'll be ready based upon what you've seen on film to be a regular contributor?
Yeah, first Willie. I think we'll probably begin with Willie at one of the outside positions. We think, without knowing right away, that we're hopeful, I should say that he would replace what Reggie Ragland did for us last year. Now, again, I preface that, Pete, by saying we won't know that until we get him. I think we're a long way away from – you guys get it. I mean, they come from college into the pros, and trying to get him up to speed takes a little while. And look at he loses – all these young guys lose out on not having these – foundation of reps, whether it's mental or walkthroughs. It feels like, guys and gals, it feels like 2011 when we had the lockout when I was in St. Louis and we didn't have all those guys. Now we're way ahead of that because we have these Zoom meetings. But I think Willie Gay will begin there. Whatever else we can do with him, we'll build on that. With Darius Snead, I was very impressed with his tape with regards to all the things that he did. He played corner, and he's a big corner. He played some nickel. He covered slot receivers, and they actually played him at safety. And I thought he did really good at all of them. We see him as a corner right now, and we'll see where that progresses to. But I think anybody that can come in with that kind of flexibility is a good thing.
All right, guys, we probably have time for a few more, so we're going to go Sarin, Herbie, and then Vahe. Go ahead, Sarin.
Coach, thanks for the time. Can you give us an update on what the timeline? I know a legal process has to work out, but with Bashaud Breeland, do you know what your timeline is as far as when he'll be ready and when he'll be a full participant?
I do not, and I don't even know where it is game-wise and all that. But Breezy has been in the meetings with us, been very engaged. And he's done a heck of a job. So, again, that's another player that we have that is a second year in the system. I'm glad we got him back. And just like you're talking about, I think we'll just let that play out. I know Coach Reed has addressed it, and I'll kind of stand on whatever he has said. But I'm just, from our regard, I'm just glad we got him back.
But right now he's working through the whole process normally?
Yeah, I don't know much about the whole what's going on.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean process. I mean, he's working, doing all the work normally with the rest of the team?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know the rest of that, but he's been in our meetings for as much as we can do right now, which is good. I'm glad about that.
Let's go to Vahe. Go ahead, Vahe.
Hey, Steve. Good to see you.
You too.
Just wondering, it's kind of apples and oranges, but I do wonder how you would say how your grasp on what you have in front of you is different this year than it was last year. I mean, last year you were still installing things, but this year you're at distance. Just how would you compare and contrast that?
Great question. I'll share this with you. We met as a defensive staff this morning on the WebEx, and So the veterans are into their 4th week right now. They had 3, they had a week off, like Coach told you, and then we got them again. Our concern as a defensive staff is when you can only do this, I'm concerned about them getting bored. It's because it is the same system. Now look at if this was a year ago, everybody'd be glued in. It's new to everybody. But now look at it. It's human nature to say, well, I know that. I've heard Coach Spag say that 100 times. Why do I got to listen to that again? But so we're looking for creative ways to feed this to our guys and to keep them sharp in what we did and what we want to continue to do. Whether it's I get on with the coaches and listen to their group meetings, and they're finding good and creative ways. We have players that are installing defenses. We have Jeopardy games. We have all kinds of things we do to keep we're all just trying to keep each other attentive and amused in some ways in sticking with football and yet getting a lot done. But it's a little bit of a challenge in this setting to do that. Just going out and walking through things is light years ahead of sitting in a meeting all day.
Okay, Herbie, you want to close us out?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Coach, how are you, man?
All right, Herb.
Hey, Taco Charlton, a former first-round draft pick, and for one reason or another, it didn't work out in Dallas, didn't work out in Miami, but how much do you see in him, and how excited are you to get him into your scheme, hopefully to see his full potential?
Yeah, listen, we were really fortunate last year when we got Emmanuel Ogbah. And he surfaced in the system, played good football, and now he's at Miami. Emmanuel and I have talked about this a lot. A change of scenery for him was really good. So I think the hope certainly is that maybe Taco could do the same thing. Now, we don't know that. Unfortunately, we don't have – Coach Daly and I don't have the chance to get to know him quite as well through a computer. But I've heard really good things about him, and we're hopeful. He gets thrown in the mix with everybody else, and hopefully he can find a guy on the edge that can help us going forward. But we'll find that out. We've got a long way to go, I guess, before we can determine that.
That was Chiefs defensive coordinator Steve Spagnolo. Here's special teams coordinator Dave Toub. I always enjoy hearing from Toub because he deals with players on both sides of the ball, and he gets to work closely with the draft class. Those guys tend to make an impression on special teams before their regular position.
All right, let's start with Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Dave, how you doing?
How you doing? How's everybody?
Good, thanks.
Good.
Hey, I was just wondering, with regard to Tommy Townsend, he's from a punting family, much like Dustin was. Do you find with a specialized thing like punting that maybe having somebody to rely on other than your coach kind of helps, and being from a punting family might be some kind of advantage?
It certainly doesn't hurt. The kid's got a lot of talent. We really liked him coming out. I had him rated the best punter coming out this year, and he was available for us, and those guys got it done to get him. So it was a pretty good deal.
What do you like about him and Newsome, and what do you think each needs to prove to you to earn the job?
Well, number one thing is it is going to be a true competition. There's nobody really out in front right now. As we look at it, I like them both. They both got really, really strong legs, really powerful leg. They consistently hit over 5.0 hang times, it's real impressive. Tommy's a little bit more, I'd say, clean in his technique as far as consistency, whereas Tyler's a little bit more erratic with his technique, but the results are the same. They both bomb the ball. We just need to clean Tyler up a little bit more. But I tell you what, it's going to be fun. The competition is going to be real fun.
Let's go to Mick Schaefer. Go ahead, Mick.
Hey, Coach, how's it going? Thanks for doing this.
How you doing? Yeah.
Great. So what all will you be missing without Dustin Colquitt, punting, being on your team, being in the locker room, everything?
Well, Dustin, first off, he's the best punter I ever coached. So, best punter I've ever been around. And he's such a great person, great team leader, just a great teammate for everybody. He was, you never knew what he was going to do. He was always going to have some kind of joke or, practical joke or something just to make everybody laugh in the room. And he was so great in the community.
with his team smile, what he did there, and just an awesome family man, spiritual guy. He's going to be missed. He's going to be hard to replace. But that's the way the NFL is. Sometimes, things change, and we need to move on.
Let's go to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, thank you for taking some time with us. I was curious about Antonio Hamilton and what you think he may be able to provide your unit in particular.
Yeah, Antonio he's a special guy. I mean, he's a guy that, obviously can play gunner, and those are valuable players. So, and he's a productive gunner. So, we're penciling him in right now to be a 4-phase starter for us right now. So we haven't even had a meeting yet. We will Thursday. And he'll find out about that. He is going to be a 4-phase starter, but really, I don't think he's going to hit the ground running for us. I mean, he's a guy that can come in and make plays, and you see him do it. You've seen him do it at the Giants, and I think we're really, really fortunate to have him.
Let's go to Sarin Petro. Go ahead, Sarin.
Coach, thank you for the time. And I know everybody's got to deal with this situation, right? Doing everything via these Zoom calls and everything, but. For special teams versus, offense and defense, you use the whole field on most of what you do. Is it harder on special teams and getting ready for special teams than it is for offense and defense having these limitations?
Well, I mean, right now, we're kind of fortunate because those guys can get together. They can get together and kick and work on the operation, and and they can do that on their own. So we can work our skill set. Whereas, to play football, it's kind of tough to have, you need 22 guys out there, and it's good for us to be able to at this time to be able to do those kind of things. I mean, we can't sit down and meet, face to face, and I can't be out there watching them. That's the unfortunate thing. But they video everything that they do, and they send it to me, and then we talk about it on virtual, virtually.
But schematically, as far as like covering kicks and doing that kind of things, is that
we just it's going to set us back a little bit. I mean, because right during this time of the year is where you're working fundamentals with everybody else, and that's going to be set back. But everybody's in the same boat. We're just going to have to, hit the ground running when we do get to camp, and we are to get together. So, it's just we're a little bit behind right now. I mean, if you compare it to where we were last year, but everybody's in the same boat. So. The good thing is we got a lot of guys coming back. We had a young group last year, and this is now going to be a lot of those guys' second, third year now, and I think we're going to be okay, in those areas.
Let's go to BJ Kissel. Go ahead, BJ.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you. I want to ask about the draft class as a whole, just because it seems like from Willie Gay Jr. to the cornerbacks they drafted, they got long, athletic, big, fast guys, which are always going to, appeal to you on special teams. Just how much were you involved in that and watching those guys leading up to the draft, and how quickly did you start, figuring out potential roles for those guys, just seeing, their pure athleticism and size and all those characteristics?
Well, those guys did a great job, first of all, getting those players, and not only those players, but the free agents we got too. There's a lot of good players there too in that group. But yeah, I mean, we evaluate each one of them, Clyde, Willie, Snead, Keys. We had grades on each one of those players, special teams grades. And, what we do, we work with Veach, and if we have two players that are close, we're going to take we'll take the special teams guy has a higher special teams grade than the other. And all of these guys had good special teams grades. So I'm real excited about every one of them. They all got speed. They all got good height. Clyde's not the tallest guy in the world, but he's so elusive. I just picture him playing PP for us on the punt team, where he could get a direct snap and take off, and he could do a lot of things in that area. But we're also going to find out if he can tackle too. I mean, he's never done it before. We've talked a couple times virtually, and he's never done it, but he's looking forward to it. They're all excited, and I'm excited to have all of them.
Let's go to Vahe. Go ahead, Vahe. All right, Vahe, we're going to try to come back to you in a second here. Let's go to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Dave. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for doing this. I know you just mentioned a little bit ago that I guess you guys may have not had a full player Zoom meeting in terms of special teams guys, but how do you anticipate those meetings going? How many players do you think you have that are going to be involved? And what are the differences knowing that you're going to work with guys from both offense and defense and try to build some level of understanding when you guys do finally get to camp?
Yeah, right now I got 59 invitations out, that they're all going to sign in. So those are the guys that'll be, hopefully they'll all be on there, which they will. And then we'll sit down and we'll look at a review of last year real quick, and then we'll look at the depth chart, where I think everybody's going to be plugged in. Like Willie Gay, he's going to find out that he's going to be a 4-phase starter right off the bat. We're going to pencil him in as that guy. So, all the way across the board, they're going to find out where they sit, what position they're going to play. We'll hit a little bit of punt on the first day, and a little bit, we'll install punt again, like nobody knows what they're doing. We'll start off with that, and then we'll watch clips of our first day. We're going to watch Pringle. We're going to watch his good plays and his bad plays from the whole entire season. And when you do that, you kind of you find the pluses and minuses. It also teaches the young players what we're looking for: what is good, what is bad, what's bad effort, what's good effort. What happens if you miss a tackle, and sometimes you could turn it into a positive play, those type of things. Basically, how we are philosophy-wise, what we expect.
Okay, Vahe, I think
Vahe.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
How you doing, Dave?
Good. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Hey, I'm just curious what you might be able to tell us about how you're able to bring Andy Hill in, to what degree you're able to do that right now, if he's actually arrived. And obviously you go a long way back with Andy. What's made him appealing to join you guys?
Yeah, Andy and I go way back to Missouri days, back in the 90s. He was on the Larry Smith staff. We're all in the Larry Smith staff together. And, obviously he's a experienced, he's been at Missouri for 24 years as a position coach. I think he was even actually assistant head coach at one time, offensive coordinator. He's been it all there. And, we've always stayed in touch. We communicated all the time. And last year in particular, mostly last year, because he handled the special teams. He had the whole special teams unit. So we really spent a lot more time together, as far as on the phone and him visiting, because he was in town all the time recruiting. But we're really good friends, and it was really, I tried to talk him out of it. I told him, I said, this job, you got to do a lot of bullshit stuff, And he goes, hey, you're not going to talk me out of it. I want to do it. I want to get in the NFL. And he convinced me. And then I went in and convinced Andy Reid that it would be a great hire to have him. So, we got it done, and I'm real happy to have him.
All right, guys, we've got time for a few more. So we're going to go Harold, Matt, and then Herbie. Go ahead, Harold.
Hey, Dave, hope you're doing all right. I think a couple people alluded to this, maybe they did, but when it comes to a point where you have just training camp and you know how important this special teams is to make the final 53 with a lot of these guys, are you going to have to try to tailor anything differently in your decision-making, or just have some kind of process in mind before you even get into what it potentially would be a training camp, however that may act, to make those final decisions on the rosters with an idea in place or anything of that nature?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's going to be one of the challenges. You're not going to get near as many reps to evaluate these guys. Like usually we come into camp and I have an idea. Okay, this guy can do this, he can do that. We're not going to know any of that, So, we got to make faster decisions, quicker decisions. We're going to rely on the preseason games. Hopefully, we have preseason games. Those are going to be critical because that's the only time we get live tackling and live blocking. So. For us, those are going to be huge, and hopefully, at the end of the day, we make the correct decisions. But like I said before, everybody's in the same boat, and the good thing is we already have a core group of good players, and we're going to filter in some of these young players in spots. So we think they all can play, especially the draft picks. So we'll find good spots for them. It may be during the year where we end up really getting our solid group together. Great question, though.
All right, let's go to Matt Derrick. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach, thanks for your time.
Yeah.
When Tyreek was going into year 2, you really reduced his role on special teams, took him off kick returns, and his punt return numbers were fewer. Is your kind of expectation is that you may end up doing the same thing with McColl this year as he gets more involved on offense? And are you looking at some of these, whether it's the rookie class or the undrafted free agents who might be return guys?
Yeah, we start everybody off as a returner. I put everybody back there like pre-practice. You notice we have like 20 guys out there sometimes. And so you never know. You find guys, diamonds in the rough, guys that haven't done it before, like Niall Davis. Never did it in college. He ended up doing it in the NFL. So, everybody will start there. Everybody's a 4-phase guy. including Clyde. I mean, Clyde's going to be playing everything. He's never done anything before, and Willie Gay and all those guys. But yeah, true. I'm not sure about Hardman. I don't want to lose him. I think he's just scratched the surface as a returner. He hasn't reached his potential yet. He could be even better. I think he knows that, and hopefully we can keep him in those roles. It's important. It's important that to get the ball in guys' hands that can make plays, and he's one of them.
All right, let's go to Herbie to close us out. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, thanks for doing this. Hope you're well, man.
Doing great.
Hey, in addition to looking for a new punter, you're also going to be looking for a new holder this year. And you mentioned you're not out there watching the guys when they get together, but how much are you going to find yourself relying on what Harrison tells you about the holding, and even James with their input before you are finally able to get them together to evaluate?
Yeah, that's good. Good question. Harrison and James have kind of took the leadership role in that whole. They know how important that part of it is. And Harrison, I guarantee it, Harrison will outwork anybody in the world, and he's going to have these guys work just as hard. So if he ever misses a field goal, it's not going to be because of a bad hold. And those guys are going to get so many reps, and both of them could do it. They've been working. They're up here on their own, doing their own thing, and they're getting they video stuff. So I'm getting to see it, and we're working through things right now as far as the holding stuff. And both guys that we have, Tommy and Tyler, can both hold. So. And Tommy did it last year. Started on Florida's team. So, they're both experienced, and you're right. It is an important job, and those guys they'll rise to the occasion.
That'll do it for today. Thanks to our production staff of Derek Donovan, Savannah Smith, Randy Mason, Beth Welsh, Jeff Rosen, and Chris Fickett. Links to Chief stories from our talk with the coordinators can be found in the show notes. Hey, earlier in the episode, you heard me talk about the Sports Pass offer, and it still stands. It's a good one, $30 for a year's worth of sports coverage, and that includes the Sports Extra on the e-edition. There are, let me check this today, 22 additional pages of national sports coverage in today's Sports Extra on the e-edition. Hey, but here's an even better offer. Buy the entire Kansas City Star product. Sports, news, features, commentary, and analysis, the whole thing. You get all the stories written by my talented colleagues, plus additional news, sports, and business coverage. Details can be found at account.kansascity.com/subscribe. That's account.kansascity.com/subscribe. Whether it's the Sports Pass or the full subscription, you're getting and supporting the best sports and news coverage in Kansas City and helping deliver products like SportsBeat KC. Thanks for listening.